Hi, this is John Baker, Spotted Lanternfly Program Coordinator for the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. Today we're going to take a look at two things. The first thing we're going to take a look at is the Spotted Lanternfly Volunteer Program, and then we're going to take a look at the treatment process that Sven from the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture had mentioned earlier. The first thing we're going to do is go over what the volunteer program is. We're going to look at the results from the volunteer program so far, and then we're going to discuss how to sign up if you are interested in being a volunteer with us. So what is the program? The volunteer program consists of egg mass scraping and tree banding. We supply the material and the training. We this year had 3 different training sessions, 1 in Montgomery County and 2 in Berks County. We have those early in the spring before eggs hatch to get everybody ready to get the supplies to them, so that way they can hit the ground running when eggs start to hatch. A couple of things to go over in regards to the program. You actually will hang the bands on Tree of Heaven on your property. Those bands are up for 2 weeks. You take those bands down. You count the number of nymphs that you caught on the bands, and then you report that data into our database called PA Plants. When you take a band down, you will hang up a new band at that point. The last thing to go over is that we only want you banding your property. That's really important. There's just issues with liability and things like that. If you're on your property and banding your property, it makes things a lot easier. Results so far. In 2015, we had 22 volunteers hang 150 bands that caught about 15,000 spotted lanternflies. In 2016, we had 34 volunteers hang 123 bands, and we've killed 45,000 spotted lanternflies this year. Since 2015, the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture staff and volunteers have killed a little over 800,000 spotted lanternfly eggs. The importance of the volunteer program, first and foremost, it allows us to reach more properties. By you taking on the responsibility of banding your own property allows us to get to properties that we may not have otherwise had time to. It also, by volunteering to band your property, every lanternfly that you catch does reduce the population. And I know that may not seem like that much, but if we get a lot of people doing this, that's a lot more bands up, that's a lot more lanternflies that are controlled. Lastly, the importance of the volunteer program, it confirms that your property is positive, which makes treating your property easier. And with that, we'll go over how you sign up. If you're interested in volunteering, feel free to send me an email. The email address is here on the slide. We also do have training sessions that I mentioned earlier. Those, again, are in the early spring, and we try to get that information out to the community through Penn State. The townships will usually share that information as well. So even if you're not sure now, and come spring you're interested, keep an eye out for those reports of training sessions being held, and feel free just to show up to those. With that, we're going to segue now into the treatment program, more specifically how the treatment program affects you, the homeowner. We'll take a look at the steps involved in property treatment, then we'll go over the results of the property treatment so far, and lastly, we'll discuss what comes next. The first step in being able to get involved in any kind of property treatment that the Department of Agriculture is doing is that we have to confirm that your property is positive. Confirmation of that can come one of 2 ways. One, if you're a volunteer, and you're entering your data, we will know that your property is in fact positive. If you are not a volunteer, we will have survey teams going out and trying to get on all properties that we can. It is important to note that we will not go on a property without seeking permission first. We will show up to a property, knock on the door. If the homeowner is not home, we do leave a note explaining what we want to do and contact information to call us back so that we can get permission from you. So if this is something you're interested in and you see one of those notes on your door, definitely give us a call. That allows us to get on your property, okay? Once we confirm that your property is positive, the next step is the issuing of a treatment order. The treatment order goes over the how, when, why of what we want to do. Once we issue a treatment order, we meet with the homeowner to explain the process. We will address any questions or concerns that you may have. After that, we'll get you to sign the treatment order, and then that gets the ball rolling. If you sign a treatment order and the Department of Agriculture does the work, so if we have our contractor come out and do the application of the pesticides, do the actual cutting of the trees, that is done at no cost to the homeowner. If you want to do this on your own, the department is currently not reimbursing homeowners if this is a route they do by themselves without the signing of a treatment order. Once the treatment order is signed, the next step that happens is that we will survey the property for tree of heaven and wetlands. Our treatment program specifically targets tree of heaven, you also, in addition to being a positive property, must have tree of heaven on the property. We will also survey for wetlands because there are endangered species in the area that inhabit the wetlands. We have to know where the wetlands are. Having wetlands on the property doesn't prevent us from doing the work. It just means we have to do the work a little differently. In surveying the property, there are some challenges, most notably knowing where property lines are. We try very hard to not accidentally spill over into somebody else's property. We send our crews out with maps of each property so they know what it looks like, but it's really hard to know when you're in the middle of the forest where one property ends and another begins. So we do ask that the property owner, if you can give any help in regards to where property lines are, to do so. It can be something as simple as the back corner of my property is where that rock ends. We are also developing a new program that allows us to better record tree locations and the fate of the tree. It will also allow us to overlay individual properties individual property lines as to where we're at, so that way the crews, as they're walking, can use an active GPS to do more to ensure that they're not getting onto the wrong property. Once the trees are marked for removal or a trap tree, the next step that happens is that a contractor begins work on the property. There's a couple of important things to note with this. The work that the contractor does includes the insecticide and herbicide application, as well as tree removal. This work can last multiple seasons. What does that mean? Multiple seasons means that the tree removal work could start in the winter, but we want the insecticide application to go on in the spring, so that way the trees are fully juiced up and ready to go to eradicate as many lanternflies as they can. So we may remove the trees in the winter and then come back out in the spring and apply the insecticide application. It is possible, and it would be ideal for us to also do this in one season, where we come out in May, in June, in July, and do all of the work at once. But we are trying to do this as efficiently as we can, and we know that the trees can be removed into late winter, so we want to maximize that as much as we can. Once the contractor lets us know that the work has been done, we will come out to ensure that the work was completed. If the work was not completed to our standards, the contractor will come out and do anything extra that needs to be done. It is important to note that there are the possibility of follow-up treatments. Anytime you're applying an herbicide and it doesn't work, we will come back out within 9 months of that initial treatment to retreat. We will also retreat for any missed trees that we may have missed the first go around. We try very hard to not miss anything, but it unfortunately can happen. The results so far, we've been doing this only for a little over a year now. We've completed 21 properties. What does that mean? We have gone in and removed most of the tree of heaven from a property, and the remaining tree of heavens are now serving as trap trees, meaning that they've been treated with insecticides. Additionally, we do have 77 more properties with signed treatment orders. So that means that either the work is currently occurring on those properties and not yet finished, or that those properties are scheduled to have work and just hasn't had any started yet. The map on the right here shows you what we've done so far. All of the red properties that you see are properties that we've completed. Yellow properties are properties in which we have signed treatment orders. And there are a couple of orange properties on here that are a little small. It's a little hard to see, but those are properties that the work is actually currently occurring on. As Sven had shown you earlier, the results so far are far exceed the expectations I think anybody had. Seeing these pictures really does make us believe that we have a very good chance to eliminate this insect. So what's next? As of June 30th, 2017, our goal is to have 100 properties signed up and treated. Going into July 1st of 2017, we hope to really ramp the program up and do 30 properties a week for 26 weeks. In the meantime, we want to sign up as many people as possible who are interested in the property treatment, so that way we can just keep the process rolling. And with that, I thank you for your time.